ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ इत्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ॐ इति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। So Bhashyakara is giving various reasons as to what this chapter 7 does. The 6th chapter was dedicated to the nirnaya, the ascertainment of sadatmaikatva. That Sat and Atma are one. The non-duality of Sat and Atma, of Brahma and Atma, to reveal that was primarily the purpose of the 6th chapter. न सतहर्वाग विकार लक्षणानि तत्वानि निर्दिष्टानि. But in that, the Shruti did not have the occasion to mention the tattvas, the entities which are arvak, inferior to sattat or sattva, sat. Yatah tani namadini pranantani kramena nirdishya. So Shruti thinks that I will apply now an alternate method of conveying that. Tani namadini pranantani kramen nirdishya. By pointing out all those elements of tattva, the entities beginning from nama, ending with prana, tadvaranapi bhumakhyam nirtishem tattvam nirdikshami. That way also I will now point out or reveal or delineate the tattva which is Bhuma or Brahman. Shaka Chandra Darshanavat iti. Like pointing out the moon through the branch of the tree. Anirdishteshu hi satarvak tattvesu sanmatrechi nirdishte. When Sat is told and the entities other than Sat or below Sat are not told, Anyandapi avijñātam syāt. Somebody may have a doubt that things remain unknown in spite of knowing Sat, those other things remain unknown. Iti ashanka kasachit. Somebody can have that kind of an ashanka. Samabhut. May that doubt also may not remain. Iti va tani nirdakshati. So that could be the other reason. To point out Brahman step by step, beginning from Nama, ending with all the way to Prana and Brahman, that's one way. Or the inferior elements or entities are mentioned so that one should know that they are also known when Sat is known, and then only the wise person becomes Sarvajña, the omniscient, according to the Pratigna, the proposition of the Shruti. Athava Sopan Arohanavat Sthulat Arabhya. So Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari and Mandadhikari. Athva Sopana Arohanavad Sthulat Arabhya. Or like climbing the steps of a ladder. Steps of a ladder. Sthulat Arabhya, beginning from something which is very gross, like Nama. Sukshmam Sukshram cha Buddhivisham Jnapayitva. I will tell them how they should meditate upon the Sukshma, subtle and subtler. Tadirikte, so that one comes to know the subtlest, which is Sat or Bhuman. Tadatirikte Swarajya Abhishekshami. So from what is comprehensible by the mind, means what the mind can meditate upon, from that I will help the disciple or the aspirant to climb up to or transcend that. So how to make the aspirant know the transcendental reality? For the Uttamadhikari, you reveal that you are transcendental. For the Madhyamadhikari, you start with gross and slowly point out the subtlest or transcendental. For the Mandadhikari, you help him in focusing, tuning up his intellect by meditation from the gross to the subtle to the subtler, and then he reaches a point when he can transcend that subtler also to the subtlest, which is Bhuman. So that's for the Mandadhikari. Tadatirikte. So Bhuman which atiriktam, which transcends this gross and subtle. Swarajya Abhishekshami. I will anoint him, I will establish him on the crown of Swarajya, or the freedom. The self-effulgent, the self, the sovereign, the state of sovereignty, I will establish him, anoint him. Iti namani nirdikshati. So that could be the reason also, while beginning from name, all these entities are pointed out here, told here. Athva namadi uttarottara vishishtani tattvani atitaram cha tesham utkrishtam bhumakhyam tattvavidhi tastutyartham namadinam kramena upanyasah. Idanim uttamam eva adhikaranam adhikritya. Or accepting that or assuming that the Shruti is addressing the Uttamadhikari. Bhumastutyartham namadevachanam. So the reason why all these entities beginning with name are all mentioned is only for extolling Bhuman or Brahman, how great it is, how limitless, how wonderful it is. Iti matantaramaha. So paravidya stutyartha. So that's stutyartham for stuti or extolling Bhuman. That, look, these are great and greater and greatest and this is the greatest. So either you can say that being from Nama, this sequence of subtlety, then Bhuman is the subtlest and transcendental. Or beginning from Nama is the sequence of superiority. And that Bhuman is the most superior. In that way, it is extolled or praised. So, bhuyastva utkarshasya tatreva parivasanokte. The greatness that each succeeding element is, and it is greater than the previous one, and Bhuman is the last one, and therefore it is the greatest. So, nirdishayam bhuyastvam, it is unsurpassable, unconditional greatness that Bhuman enjoys. Iti tadeva stutam. So it is for the stuti of Bhuman. So adhyaya sambandham uktva akshayaka sambandham aha. The sambandha, the connection between the 6th and the 7th chapters, and Ukta having stated, now akshayaka sambandham. In what way the Akshayika, the story of Sanat Kumara and Narada, what is the contribution of or relevance of the story? In what way does the story, in what way is it related to the subject matter of this 7th chapter? If Bhuman or Brahman is the subject matter of 7th chapter, for Uttamadhikari, for Madhyamadhikari, for Mandadhikari, whichever way you look, Bhuman or Brahman is the subject matter of this 7th chapter. They are established. What is the relevance of the story for that Bhuman or the subject matter? That's what Bhashyakara says in the Bhashya, 5th line of page 296. 6th line, 5th, right. Akshayika tu paravidyastutyartha. Akshayika tu, however, the story here, or anecdote you say, is paravidyastutyartha. It's a stuti or extolling paravidya, Brahma Vidya. So, extolling Brahman is one thing, extolling Brahma Vidya is another thing. So, by pointing out the successive layers of superiority, Brahman is or Bhuman is revealed to be the most superior. Now, the knowledge of Brahman may be superior. So, what? What does it have to do with me? That Brahma Vidya is the most supreme also. So knowing Brahman also is the most important in life, and that's how the knowledge of Brahman also is praised. So Brahman may be praiseworthy, but Brahman may not have any relevance in my life. So let him be. He is President of the United States, so what? What does it matter to me? He may be a great person. What does it matter to me? So Bhuman can be great. What does it matter to me? He says, no. The knowledge of Brahman is the most important to you. It is the most important, most valuable knowledge. Stutyarthatvam eva prashnapurvakam prakatayati. In what way does this anecdote or akhyayika, in what way? We do not find any stuti of Brahma Vidya here. The anecdote just says that sage Narada approached sage Sanat Kumara and sought this knowledge. Then Sanat Kumara says, okay, you first please tell me what you know, and then I will tell you something beyond what you know. Then sage Narada recounted all kinds of things that he knows. But then says, I such as that, who is so knowledgeable, so accomplished, Shochami, I am Soham Bhagavad Shochami. Saha, the one who is so well known, who is so well educated, so well, and so great in every way, I, such as that, who has all possible worldly accomplishments. So a long list of all the vidya or the knowledge that Sayyid Narada possesses describes him as a person of great accomplishment. Perhaps the greatest accomplishment. Like Arjuna was a person of one of the greatest accomplishments. The best archer of his time, the most well-known, highly regarded, highly, honored, and person of that stature also, grieving tam tatha krupaya vishtam ashrupurna kolekshanam rathopastha upavishad visurja sasharam chavam shoka samvigna manasa. Arjuna, as great as he was, as accomplished as he was, still was nothing but submerged in the ocean of grief. And so also says Narada, in spite of being as great as he was, all that knowledge and all that accomplishment did not help him in becoming free from grief, as it did not help Arjuna. So this is Akhyayika, and as a result then Sanat Kumara proceeds to teach him Brahma Vidya. A simple story. So how do you say that this story reveals that Brahma Vidya or knowledge of Brahman is the most exalted? So Prashnapurvakam Prakatayati. As preceded by a question, Bhashyakara reveals in what way this anecdote is meant for the extolling or praising Brahma Vidya. Katham Narado Devarshihi Krutakartavyah Sarvavidyopi San Anatmagnyatvat Sushocha eva kimu vaktavyam anyaha alpavita jantuhu akrita unyatishaya akritartha iti. Narada Devarshi, Narada, the well-known sage, who had, in the words of Bada Swamiji, had the passport for all the three worlds. And therefore, he could go anywhere without having and visa at the entry level. He did not need any visa. Permanent visa for all the three worlds. So when Lord Krishna was in Dwarika, Sayyid Narada would generally live in Dwarika with Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna would send him on missions now and then. Go to Vrindavan and find out how gopis are doing. Go to Indraprastha or go to Pandavas and see what they are doing, etc. He would go and right away come back. So sage Narada was a great devotee of the Lord. Great one as such as that. So I don't think bhaktas would like to accept this, this kind of story. As sage Narada is described in let's say Srimad Bhagavatam, where he is a great devotee of Lord Krishna, that he can be grieving in spite of being knowledgeable. He cannot be grieving being the bhakta, So that's what they would think. But here that he was a bhakta is not the point here, because there can be any number of Naradas, who knows, So Devarshinam cha Narada, he is Devarshi. He is a divine sage, not ordinary sage. Who is Devarshi? One who is born as Devata and the Rishi among them is Devarshi. So, Rishi and Rajarshi and this Devarshi. So Narada hai, Devarshi, Kruta Kartavya hai. One who is Krutam Kartavyam, one who has done whatever needs to be done, so there is no Kartavya left for him. There is no obligatory duty for him that he has to do this. He is not under compulsion of anything. So says Narada, who is free from all compulsions of what he should do and what he should not. This kartavya is a compulsion. What is kartavya? That this has to be done. So whenever I feel that I have to do something, that means I am compelled, I am under compulsion. But he did not have that. Krita kartavya. Sarva vidya, in spite of possessing all the vidya, all disciplines of knowledge, being knowledgeable in all disciplines of knowledge. Sarva vidya sanna. Anatmajnatva, only thing was anatmajna. So knowing anatma meaning what? Na atmajna, because of the ignorance of the nature of self. It's the only thing. He had every other possible thing that one can acquire in this universe of all the three worlds. Everything he had except he did not have the knowledge of the self because of the ignorance of the self. Shushocha eva. He indeed was grieving. So he was submerged in the ocean of grief because of the ignorance of the self. If this can happen to sage Narada, kimu vaktavyam, then what to talk of this ordinary jantu? Anya alpavid jantu. Sage Narada is sarvagni kalpa, essentially omniscient. And because of what? Punyadishaya, krita punyadishayana. This knowledge or scholarship does not come like that. It shows that one has brought a great deal of punya or virtue with oneself. So not everybody is a scholar. And regardless of what you do, you cannot become a scholar if you don't have that. That's all. So people are born with those samskaras. Some people are born with talent for music. They learn music just like that. Tabla just like that. Instrument just like that. Other people keeps on doing for years together, doesn't get it. Somebody has a thing about Sanskrit grammar, they get it right away. Other people keep on memorizing grammar for the whole life, they don't get it. Some people are good at algebra, somebody good at geometry, somebody good at language, grammar. So we can see how different people are born with different gifts. A gifted person. Otherwise, it is 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration. Here is 90% inspiration, 10% perspiration. Some people will keep on working harder and harder and harder for the same level of accomplishment. Whereas a chaiwala can become the prime minister. Gifted people, And so that President Obama said he also came from very humble background. His wife came also from very humble background. And this is where they are right now. So, this doesn't happen like that. It is all gift, result of a great amount of punya, great amount, the result of the virtuous deeds that may have been done in the past many lives. So, of course, as far as the spiritual accomplishment is concerned, it is a result of a great deal of punya. But even the material accomplishments that a person has acquired, he is a creator of wealth. It's a great contribution. Somebody is wealthy, somebody is beautiful, somebody is a great sportsman, somebody is a great actor, somebody is a great singer, a great poet, a great writer, a great artist. They all come. Of course, they work hard, but in spite of working, there are many people working hard. And still, in some cases, so what is there becomes manifest. Like that copper pot looks very rusted, but it has inherent, inherent shining in there, glittering. Therefore, all you need to do is to remove the external layer of, of oxidation, and that inherent shine or glitter comes out. But if an iron pot, no matter how much you scrape, nothing happens. So, as I said, people have brought things with themselves. So sage Narada, what an amount of great punya he must have in his past births for the accomplishments that he displayed and demonstrated in his life. When he was grieving, kimu vaktavyam? Anyaha alpavit jantuhu, an ordinary person, ignorant, alpavit, meaning with little knowledge, tasa akrita punyatisaya, who does not have the wealth of the exceeding punya, unsurpassable punya, or the virtue that Sage Narada had. So who doesn't have that, what to talk of the fact that he is grieving? That everybody is grieving. When Sage Narada is grieving, when Arjuna is grieving, then what to talk of everybody else that they are grieving? What to talk about that? In this manner, the Brahma Vidya was anatmagnya. Because of ignorance of the self, that he was grieving. Meaning that the knowledge of the self releases one from the grief, and that alone can. So says the Tika here, says Anandagiri, tathacha paravidyaya krutarthatvat tasya stutiyatra vivakshita iti sheshaha. So tathacha, ever paravidya krutarthatvat. He was akrutartha. On account of the ignorance of the self, he was unfulfilled, akrutartha. And Sage Narada became fulfilled by the knowledge of the self. In that way, the self-knowledge is praised. Or, as the other Tikakara says, Parvidya stutyarthayati Sanat Kumarena Brahmaputrena Upadishta. What to talk of this knowledge? Sanat Kumarena Brahmaputrena Upadishta. Sanat Kumar is the progeny son of Brahmaji. So he is of course Sage Narada. And Sarvajnena Brahmaputrena Naradan Gruhitayati. Saisha Bhargavi Varuni Vidya. There is Bhargavi Varuni. Bhargavi, one that was received by the sage Bhrigu. Varuni, one that was imparted by the sage Varuna. So this Nachiketa Vidya. So that's how Vidya also is qualified with the help by the names of the great people. So therefore, the fact that such great or exalted people are involved in imparting this knowledge and receiving the knowledge. Even a person who imparts the knowledge, a great person, if a person who receives knowledge is not great, then it's okay. But here, the one who imparts knowledge is great, and one who receives knowledge also is equally great. That shows how great this knowledge must be, because such great people also have been have been devoted to, committed to that knowledge, establishing that knowledge. They value this knowledge. So knowledge that is valued by such great people must be valuable. Otherwise, why should sage Narada, such great one, should seek this knowledge unless it was valuable? Why should Sanat Kumar also, being so great as he was, it will be said that Sanat Kumar also incarnation of Kartikeya also. So why should he have to talk about this one? So just because you know something, not that you talk about, you won't, right now, you won't teach a child of the 5th grade or something like that, 5 times 4 is equal to 20, it's okay, you don't worry about that kind of knowledge. Or algebra or geometry and stuff like that. So you only teach that which you think is valuable. And therefore this Vidya is valued both by the teacher, Sage Sanat Kumara, and the disciple, Sage Narada. It is Stuti Bhati. So that way, by saying how great people have been involved, this Vidya is praised. Brahma Devana Prathamas Sambhavuva Vishwasya Karta Bhuvanasya Gopta Sab Brahma Vidyam Sar Vidya Pratishtham Atharvaya Jeshta Putraya Praha Atharvaneyam Pravadeda Brahma Atharvatam Purovacham Angire Brahma Vidyam. So this Chhandogya Upanishad begins with stating this whole tradition, who are the great sages or the great devatas, in fact, who came in a succession. So this Brahma Vidya has been entertained by, has been accepted by those who commitment to Brahma Vidya, such great devatas and sages also value this Brahma Vidya. They have dedicated themselves to the pursuit and teaching of this knowledge. How great that knowledge must be. So greatness of the knowledge is praised by praising the greatness of the people who are imparting the knowledge and who are receiving the knowledge. Also the Tika says, Atma Jnanameva Shreyah Prapti Sadhanam Na Karma Apar Vidyavayati Ukte Tat Parityagena Atma Vidyayameva Pravrutti Siddhet Ityetaratham Tasya Shreyah Prapti Sadhanatva Jnapanartham Akhyayika. So Anatmajñatvat, because of the lack of self-knowledge, that all this happened to Sage Narada. So Atmajnanameva Shreyah Prapti Sadhanam. All the knowledge and the accomplishment that Sage Narada had, they did not become sadhana or means for Shreyah. All of that did not help him become a fulfilled person in his life. So it is anatmajna. All of this knowledge is only knowledge of anatma. So anatmajñatvat. So Sage Narada was very knowledgeable. What? Anatma. He had the knowledge of non-self. He was a knowledge of Paravidya. So Paravidya or self-knowledge alone is the means of Shreyah Prapti, attainment of moksha. Satsya Shreyah Prapti Sadhanatva Jnapanartham. So it is from this story we understand, it is self-knowledge which is the means of attainment of Shreya, the great fulfillment. the completeness in life, the moksha. Na karma. So Nada says, Mantravit eva hamasmi natu atmavit. I know only the meaning of the text. I don't know the self the text reveals. So I know the karma. Bhashyakara says, means he knew the karma. He did not know the self. So that knowledge of karma or performance of karma also did not help him gain moksha. So karma is not the moksha sadhanam. Na apara vidyava, or all the vidya that he had is all apara vidya. It is knowledge apara or inferior or the anatma. So that cannot be the shreyas sadhanam, the means of moksha. Iti ukte. So that is what is stated also by the akhyayika or anecdote. So what should you do? Tat parityagena. So let go whatever is not the means of moksha. So karma is not the means of moksha. Tat parityagena. Let it go. Drop it. Apara vidyava. Not all this knowledge, secular knowledge of the non-self, that also will not bring you the fulfillment. So you let it go. Atma vidya pravrittihi siddhyet. So why is all this stated? Why should this description of sage Narada be given in this manner? That Narada was well accomplished in karma as well as apara vidya, but that did not help him to gain moksha or the ultimate goal of life. Means that you have to let go. And atma vidyayam eva pravritti. He must now engage himself in the pursuit of atma vidya, self-knowledge. So this is what Shruti thinks. That by describing the condition of sage Narada, it will become very clear to the aspirants that even though sage Narada was well versed with karma and had performed karma, it still did not help him to gain moksha. He had all apara vidya, the knowledge of the non-self, that also did not help him to gain moksha. Therefore, it cannot help us also to gain moksha. Therefore, we should let go. How says Narada? Give up all that. And committed himself to the pursuit of self-knowledge. So also we should do. Id etadartham tasya shreyah prapti sadhanatva jnapanartham. That Atma Vidya is shreyah prapti sadhanam, is a means of attainment of shreya or moksha. So this story tells us also how Atma Vidya is the means of moksha and not karma, not the knowledge of the non-self. Now Bhashyakar gives another explanation for which both the Tikakaras have their own explanation. Says Anandagiri, Atit Adhyaya Adishta Sadatma Vijnanat Anya Deva Devatopasanam Moksha Sadhana Vitashankya. Atit Adhyaya Adishta Sadatma Vijnanam. That Sat alone is Atma, Brahma is Atma, Tattvamasi, that Vijnanam, that knowledge which was imparted in the previous chapter. Anya Deva, something other than that knowledge. Devatopasanam. So what can be other than that knowledge is Upasana. So then the self-knowledge that was imparted in the previous chapter, somebody may think that there is not moksha sadhana. Something other than self-knowledge, namely the meditation upon a devata, moksha sadhanam, iti ashankya. So somebody can have that shanka. Tad nishedena svatma vijna sadatma vijna seva moksha sadhanatvam drudhikartam. Why should anybody have that doubt? I don't know. But anybody can have all kinds of doubts, So Brahma Jnanam, or that I am Brahman, that is not the moksha sadhanam, but then meditation upon a devata. So that's what people believe, that knowledge cannot give you moksha. So therefore, that opinion always prevails that jnanam cannot be mukti sadhanam. Karma alone can be mukti sadhanam. In this case, devatopasanam. Therefore, all the acharyas, other than Shankaracharya, for them upasana is a moksha sadhana. So whether it is Vishishta Advaita or Dvaita and everything, in all varieties of Dvaita, then Jnanam is the means of bhakti or upasana. So when they say bhakti means upasana, meditation in different ways, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, all of these are means of meditation. So that is a means of moksha and not jnanam. Jnanam is for bhakti and bhakti is a direct means of moksha. So jnanam is paroksha sadhanam, bhakti is the aparoksha sadhanam, pratyaksha sadhanam. Iti ashankya. So somebody may have that ashanka, then nishedena. So that shanka, that anything other than self-knowledge can be the means of moksha, Shruti wants to dismiss that idea, wants to make it very firm. And so, dridhikartam, moksha sadhanatvam, dridhikartam. That's sadatma vijnanam. The knowledge that Sat Atma is Sat or Sat is Atma, that knowledge alone is moksha sadhanam. That alone can be the means of moksha. Because Sat means Brahman or self, which is ever liberated. So what is moksha sadhanam? The knowledge that I am ever liberated alone can be the means of liberation. So karma, what is karma? Karma is that which brings about a transformation. Karma or upasana. A person who is not liberated now has to become liberated through karma, the transformation brought about by karma or upasana. That's the view. So Vedanta says no. It is not the accomplishment of unaccomplished, it is the praptasya praptihi, nitya muktasya muktihi, nitya nivrittasya nivrittihi, nitya praptasya praptihi. So moksha is nitya prapta. And therefore, that who is pursuing this moksha? One who is already liberated, but thinks that I am bound. So what is the perception of bondage? Is bondage a reality of life or is bondage merely a notion? So those who think that bondage is real, for them the karma and upasana are the means for release from the bondage. The Jains think that the Atma is in fact polluted by karma and therefore he must be released from that. So karma and upasana will become the major thing. Jnanam is there everywhere, but still. Here Vedanta says that the self is ever free and therefore it is simply the knowledge that I am always free. It is that he is already the 10th man. And therefore all he needs to know is I am the 10th man and that is the means of his freedom from the loss of the 10th man. So, therefore, sadatma vijnanasya moksha sadhanatvam dridhikartam. So, this must become very clear, very firm, that all I need in my life is the knowledge of the self, nothing else. For what I want to accomplish, that I want to accomplish moksha or liberation in my life. What I am seeking is freedom, nothing else. That I am not interested in any other siddhis or any other powers. All I want is simple thing, freedom, unconditional freedom, that's what I want. And that unconditional freedom alone means unconditional happiness, that's all I want. And that is already an accomplished fact. So what is an accomplished fact has to be brought to manifestation, not to be created. Liberation is not to be created, has to be brought to manifestation. So this should become very clear. So dridhikartam akhyayika pravutta iti pakshantaramaha. Or Bhashyakara says that the alternative interpretation of this Akhyayika or the anecdote can be that Atma Jnanam alone, self-knowledge alone is the means of moksha and nothing else. So the next other Tikakara says Tatra Soham Bhagavo Mantra Devasmina Atmavid Tatash Shochami Tari Shokama Atmaviruktya Tat Pratitehe. So again, Athava. So this Tikakara is a different part here. He has a different reading here than what we have. Athva Naradaha Devarshihi. So then Katham, instead of Katham, he is Athava. So this Abhinava Narayanananda Saraswati, instead of Katham, he is Athava. So Akhyayagato Paravidya Stutyartha. Athava. So there Paravidya Stutyartha, he gave the explanation as to how it was taught by Sage Sanat Kumara and received by sage Narada. That shows that it is for the stuti of Paravidya. Athava, or Narado Devarshi, Kruta Kartavya, etc. Sarva Vidyopi. So you think that is again an alternate explanation. And so, therefore, Atma Jnanam, so then this is an explanation of that Atma Jnanam alone is a Shreyas Sadhanam, not karma, not aparavidya. Iti. So that sage Narada is approaching Sanat Kumara shows that is not karma, not aparavidya, which can be means of moksha. They were giving, so Narada gave up this karma and aparavidya and committed himself to the pursuit of paravidya or Atma Jnanam. So that's the purpose of Akhyayika Athava. How do you say that? Tatra Soham Bhagava Mantra Videvasmi Na Atmavid. Later on, says Narada will say that, oh revered sir, Mantra Videvasmi, I am only the knower of mantra, the text. Na Atmavid, I do not know what the mantras, so I do not know Tatparya of the mantra. The Vachyartha I know, but the Lakshyartha I do not know. Vachyartha I know what the mantras mean, and they mean karma. But Lakshyartha is, they mean Atma, I do not know that. Tataha Shochami, and not on account of not knowing the Atma, Shochami, I am grieving. Tardi Shokam Atmavita. And I have heard from sages, great sages like you, that the one who has the knowledge of self crosses grief. Iti uktya tat pratitehe. So by these statements of sage Narada, it becomes clear that not karma nor aparavidya is the means of moksha, only self-knowledge is the means of moksha. So this tika reads Athava Narada Devarshihi Ityadina. So Kruta Kartavya Sarva Vidya Sarva Vidya Yas Edi Samasa. So one who has all the knowledge, all disciplines of knowledge. So then, Anatmagnatva Shushocheva Kyo Vaktavyam Anya Alvahijjantu Agda Punyadisha Akrutartha iti. So then Akruta ityataha na anyat. That athava is not there. In this reading, na anyat Atma Jnanat. So that is apapatha. If there is no athava, iti na anyat Atma Jnanat. So then, so Atma Jnanat na nirdisha Shreya Sadhanam. So that is apapatha. Yena Sarvignan Sadhana Shakti Sampannasyapi Akrutarthata eva. Yena, because of which Sarva Vijnana Sadhana Shakti Sampannasyapi, even though sage Narada endowed with the ability to undertake disciplines of all the knowledge, and still Akrutartha, he was still unfulfilled. Akrutartha hetu antarena, we don't know that antarena, we don't have that path. Yena akrut, so he reads the whole next sentence also. Without that athava. So yena akrutartha eva, yena shrehanna bahuva, etc. We'll see that. So let us read the next sentence. Athava iti. So Anandagiri said, this is meant that you should give the karma and aparavidya. Atma jnana is the only means of moksha. So drudikartam, to make that idea very firm in the mind of the aspirant, is also the purpose of Akhyayika. That's the other explanation of Akhyayika. Athava, so Bhashyakara says, Athava na anyata atma jnanat nirtisha shreyas sadhanamasti ityetat pradarshanaartham Sanat Kumara Narada Akhyayika Arabhyate. Athava. So second explanation can be, what is the role of the Akhyayika or the anecdote? Na anyat atma jnanat nirdisha shreyas sadhanamasti. Shreyas sadhanam, there is no means of moksha. So nirdisha shreyas sadhanam. That Atma Jnanam, self-knowledge, is unsurpassable means of moksha. Other than self-knowledge, there is no means that is unsurpassable means of moksha other than the self-knowledge. Iti etat pradarshanaartham, for displaying that, showing that. Sanat Kumara Narada Akhyayika Arabhyate. That sage Narada had everything other than Atma Jnanam, and still he was grieving. So all that knowledge did not enable him to gain the moksha, which is the goal of his life. So this story is meant to convey that there is no means of moksha other than self-knowledge. Dvitiyam Akhyayika Tatparyam Prapanchayati. So this Athava is the Dvitiya Tatparya. Akhyayika is to say, what to talk of an ordinary person who is grieving when sage Narada also is grieving because of lack of self-knowledge. And secondly, that there is no means other than self-knowledge for moksha. So that's the other Tatparya. Prapanchayati. In what way we learn from this Akhyayika that Atma Jnanam is the only moksha sadhanam and nothing else. That is what Bhashyakara elaborates, Yena Ityadina. Yena Sarva Vijnana Sadhana Shakti Sampannasyapi Naradasya Devarshehe Shreyo Nababhuva Yena Uttama Abhijana Vidya Vritta Sadhana Shakti Sampatti Nimitta Abhimanam Hitva Varakrita Purushavata Sanat Kumaram Upasasada Shreyas Sadhana Praptaye Ataha Prakhyāpitam Bhavati Nirdishaya Prapti Sadhanatvam Atma Vidyayaha Iti. Yena, because of which reason? Yena Sarva Vijnana Sadhana Shakti Sampannasya Naradasya. Narada was Sampanna, endowed with what? Shakti, the ability. Says Narada was Shakti Sampanna, endowed with the Shakti or the ability. Of what? Sarva Vijnana Sadhanam. Ability to undertake disciplines of attaining all forms of knowledge. Sarva Vijnana Sadhana Shakti Sampanna. See, when can you gain vijnana? When you are sampanna, when you are endowed with the ability to gain that knowledge. See, everybody cannot get every knowledge. We have some Shakti, that we may be good in a particular branch of knowledge. That's all. So mathematics I am alright, but biology no way. Botany I am okay, but not zoology. And so, sarva vidya, sarva vijnana sadhana. So every vijnanam or every branch of knowledge requires a Shakti, the ability to pursue sadhanam, pursue the means of that knowledge. To acquire any knowledge, we must have the ability to pursue the means of that knowledge. If you want to acquire the knowledge of grammar, you must be good at memorizing things. That's the way to learn the language through the grammar. So, similarly, if you want to learn music, some different kind of ability. And want to learn painting, yet different kind of ability. Dance, different kind of ability. So every form of knowledge requires sadhana, Shakti Sampannatvam. You must be endowed with the Shakti, the power or ability of undertaking that sadhana or the means to acquire that knowledge. To become an accomplished dancer, you must have the ability to pursue that means which makes you a dancer. Some people just can't do it, that's all. So yesterday jokingly Obama was saying that it all became very clear to everybody that Michelle dances better than I, His wife dances better than he does. So she has more talent than... So some golf for example, you can't do it. Some people just can do it so well. You keep on trying and your ball goes into sand and goes into this and all kinds of places. Some people struggle. You can see people struggling. Other people are just so, it's so easy for them to track that. So when sage Narada accomplished all this knowledge, not only scriptural knowledge, music also, dance also, all forms of knowledge he had. When could he have acquired those knowledge? When he was endowed with the ability to pursue the means of acquiring that knowledge. Sarva Vijnana Sadhana Shakti Sampanna. Endowed with the ability of undertaking the means to acquire all forms of knowledge. Naradasya Devarshe keeps repeating, he is a divine sage, says Narada. Shriya na bahuva. So he has Shakti. He has specific kind of powers or abilities. Great talents and great gift he had. Because of which he could pursue all those forms of knowledge. But those great gifts, those great abilities also did not help him to gain moksha, meaning become free from grief. That did not help him. All of that did not help him to gain a sense of fulfillment in his life. Therefore, what did he do? He says, Sanat Kumaram Upasasada. That's the reason why he approached Sage Sanat Kumara. How did he approach? Prakruta Purushavata, like an ordinary person. So when a student goes to the teacher, he goes as an ordinary person. Not as I am a king or I am a prince or I am so and so. That means he has remained that, he has not become a disciple. So ideally one drops off all one's pride when one surrenders to anybody, to the teacher or anybody. That alone is called surrender when the pride is given up. It is that pride, that abhimanam, which in fact creates a barrier between myself and who I want to surrender. So when can sage Narada surrender? So Prakruta Purusha, what is Prakruta? Ordinary person who doesn't have any pride because there is no accomplishment. So Abhiman or pride can be when you have accomplishments. Then you have the vim, you have the notion that I am so and such. Poor ordinary person doesn't have that. Therefore, he doesn't have pride. So without any great effort, he can surrender, And so, what is it? Mantram na jane, tantram na jane. I don't know anything. And so, therefore, I tere dwar, whatever it is. I am at your door because I have nothing with me. So when I have nothing with me, akinchanaha, I don't possess anything, no abilities, then I don't have any pride. Then I am humble. With humility, so surrender shows the humility of the person. Now, Narada was so accomplished. How can he surrender? Prakruta Purushavat. Like an ordinary person. Meaning that he was as humble as an ordinary. So, ordinary person is humble because he has nothing to be proud of. But sage Narada was humble in spite of the fact that he had all the reason to be proud of. He let go his pride and became as humble as an ordinary person. So, Prakruta Purushavat Upasasada. Approach sage Sanat Kumara like an ordinary person. So, what is ordinary person? One who has no pride. Therefore, Yena Uttam Abhijana Vidya Vrutta Sadhana Shakti Sampatti Nimittam Nimit Abhimanam Hitva. It must have taken some kind of a struggle in the minds of sage Narada before you could do that, before you can just, fall flat at the feet of somebody. It took me so many years to fall flat that even before Swami Chinmaya, before that, to prostrate that itself took time. So when we were going to listen to Swamiji in New York and places, and I saw these people, touching the feet. What are these fellows doing? What are they doing? So I thought they're all stupid people. What are. And so it took time. After some years, then I reported to my friend, hey, I did it, that I could salute, I could prostrate to him. That you discover the greatness in that person, you discover also the need on your part. Your smallness you discover the greatness of that person, you discover neediness in yourself, you discover a trust, so many things you discover, then that happens. So, sage Narada must have gone through all of Hitva. The only way you can surrender is when you drop, what is it? Abhimanam Hitva, the pride. And our pride is for nothing. We don't possess and still we are proud. No, he was proud because he really had reason to be proud. What is it? Ye Uttama Abhijana. This sense of born in a great family, they call it aristocracy. Abhijana. That I am born in, I'm a Brahma, son of Saint Lord Brahma. So I'm not born an ordinary person. I'm not an ordinary person. People say that I don't come from an ordinary person, I'm not come from an ordinary family, I'm so and so, I came from this, we are like that. Okay. So Uttama Abhijana. Vidya. I'm a PhD, I'm this, that and what not. And so Vidya, learning. Vrutta. Vrutta means your profession. What do you do? I was CEO, I was this, that and whatever, and therefore the pride arising from your profession, pride arising from your knowledge, pride arising from your birth. In India in particular, with all this, the class difference, where one Brahmana is declared as the most superior, and Shudra declared as the most inferior. What was the intention? But that's what happened. So the idea of my being born in a superior family was always there, or inferior family. Those people always entered in that complex. So Indians always entered in complex that is inferior, because we judge ourselves as superior, inferior based on where we are born. So British are superior and we are inferior. So the inferiority complex came in all Indians. Even though I may be superior to somebody else and I may display my superiority before some lower person of lower caste, but this complex that he suffered from inferiority, I suffered from those people. Now the Westerners would not have that. They don't have the inferiority complex that I am inferior to this person. But then poor Indians, because this class differences, there was then the psyche of superiority and inferiority. So when you feel superior because of something, you can feel inferior also because of something else. So that superiority complex of born in a certain family, certain lineage, of the learning, the scholarship that I have. Scholarship you may have, but still you may be just an ordinary person. But no, I am a CEO, I am so and so, I am a great professional, I am a great politician, I am such and such. So, vrittam, what you do? Sadhana, Shakti, Sampatti. And also, I said, so sadhana, Shakti, Sampatti. Sampatti means the wealth, of Shakti, the ability of pursuing the means, or undertaking means of pursuing all those forms of knowledge. So Sarva Vijnana Sadhana Shakti, same thing is repeated. Sadhana Shakti Sampatti Nimitta. I can learn grammar in no time. I can learn tabla in no time. I can do the Swami and I can just do it like that. So Sadhana Shakti Sampanatvam. That I am endowed with the ability to do whatever I want, I can do that. There also instills a pride. Abhimanam hitva. Now pride is good up to a certain point. Certain pride is required for a person to feel good about himself or herself. The self-esteem must be there. But then that very pride becomes an obstacle later on. So in the beginning, you cultivate the pride. So we help the child cultivate the pride. Oh, you are great. Boy, you can say B-O-Y, you can write that. Oh, so great. To encourage him. So he feels good about himself. But then when it goes unchecked, that becomes an obstacle. So pride is not always bad. In certain stage of our life, we do require pride in the sense of self-esteem. Sense of self-worth is required. Sense of self-worth, self-esteem is required. We can see that in this Narendra Modi. He has that self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, which enables him to go into any situation, go to anybody. He can carry himself with what he is. And you can see that psychology, because in one question answer session, somebody asked, so why does so and so feel that, he doesn't have self-respect. He shows that he is not accepting himself, he says, So all of that is required for a person to be effective, no doubt about that. But as I said, when it comes to spirituality, so what is an asset when it comes to the material accomplishments becomes a liability when it comes to the spiritual accomplishment. But then, that asset you should acquire, then let go. What is sannyasa? Sannyasa is first acquiring and then letting go. If you don't have it, where is the question of sannyasa? So abhimanam hitva, giving up that pride. Sanat Kumaram upasasada, he approached great Sanat Kumara. For what? Shreya prasadana praptaye. That all the sadhanas that he had, all the means and ability that he had were not adequate to enable him to gain Shreya or Moksha, which he required, which he recognized. And that is how he was able to drop his pride. As long as you think that what you have can take you where you want to go, so long you will not let it go. When says Narada recognized that, he did not have, in spite of having what all he had, he did not have that which could enable him to accomplish moksha. All the pride naturally dropped off. So Shes Sadhana Prapte Atah Prakhyapidam Bhavati. Therefore, it becomes revealed, becomes declared. Nirtishaya Prapti Sadhanatvam Atmavidya Nirtishaya Prapti Sadhanatvam Prakhyapidam Bhavati. That Atmavidya, self-knowledge, is a sadhana, the means of Nirtishaya Prapti, of attainment of what is unsurpassable, the limitlessness. That Atmavidya alone is the means, becomes declared. So this is not stated. So Shruti just gives us the story, briefly, just sketch, outline. From there, from that the Shruti wants to communicate this to us, wants us to understand that only Atma Jnanam, self-knowledge, is the Nirtishaya Prapti Sadhanam, is a means of attainment of moksha and nothing else. And when Sage Narada recognized this, all the abhimanam that even if he had, he may not have, but in case he had, it all dropped off and he was able to become an ordinary person. Akinchana ananya gati, that I have nothing with me and you are the only gati, the only refuge. Saranyamanyad didham na jane, I do not know any of the refuge and therefore I am at your feet. So this is the other explanation of the Akhyayika. We will continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.